Have you ever feared a question more than an answer? What if one man's questions could shake the foundations of an entire city, of an entire civilization? Socrates didn't write books. He didn't hold office. He never charged a fee. And yet, his ideas outlived empires. His words echoed in the minds of rulers, rebels, and revolutionaries for thousands of years. But why was he feared? Why would the greatest democracy of its time execute its greatest thinker? Let's explore not just who Socrates was, but why his life and his death still matters. Socrates lived in Athens during the 5th century BCE, a time of cultural brilliance, democracy, and war. He was poor. He walked barefoot. He spoke to anyone who would listen or argue. He claimed to know nothing. And yet, he was known as the wisest man in all of Athens. Not because of what he knew, but because of what he questioned. He wasn't a teacher in the traditional sense. He didn't lecture. Instead, he asked questions, then questioned your answers, until your certainty collapsed in on itself. This method of relentless inquiry is now called the Socratic Method. It doesn't aim to tell you what to think. It aims to force you to think for yourself. But here's the twist: Socrates wasn't loved by everyone. He was feared, mocked, and eventually condemned. Why? Because Socrates did something dangerous. He didn't just ask abstract questions. He interrogated the very beliefs that held Athenian society together. He questioned the meaning of justice, the role of the gods, the purpose of politics, and the virtue of the ruling class. He exposed ignorance in those who claimed wisdom, especially the politicians, the poets, and the powerful. Imagine a man today walking into Congress, stopping senators, CEOs, and scholars, and calmly dismantling their arguments using only questions. Would he be admired or arrested? Socrates was feared because he made people uncomfortable. He turned certainty into doubt, pride into humility, and authority into embarrassment. In his own words, "I am the gadfly of the Athenian state, a small, buzzing insect, biting the fat, sleepy horse of society, so it might awaken." In 399 BCE, Socrates was put on trial. The charges? Corrupting the youth, not believing in the gods of the city. But these were excuses. The real crime? He dared to teach people to think. He showed the young that those in power might not have the truth. He made people see that wisdom begins with admitting ignorance. At his trial, Socrates could have begged. He could have apologized. But he didn't. He stood firm. He said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And so, they sentenced him to death. Most people fear death. Socrates didn't. He drank hemlock, poison, surrounded by his students. And in those final moments, he spoke not of regret, but of philosophy. To him, death wasn't the end. It was either a dreamless sleep, or a journey to meet other souls and question them too. His death wasn't just an end, it was a message. That truth is worth dying for. That integrity matters more than popularity. That the power to question is the power to be free. Socrates never wrote a word. Yet through Plato and others, his ideas lived on. He laid the foundation for Western philosophy, ethics, logic, even law. His questions shaped thinkers like Aristotle, Descartes, Nietzsche, even modern psychologists and scientists. But his legacy isn't in institutions or books. It's in a mindset. Socrates taught us that life isn't about having answers. It's about never stopping the search. That to question is not to destroy, but to deepen. That the courage to confront ignorance, especially our own, is the beginning of wisdom. So, who was Socrates? He was a poor man with nothing but questions. A thinker who feared comfort more than death. A voice that still whispers in every serious mind. Are you living an examined life? And why was he feared? Because truth has a price. And sometimes, it begins with a question. If this made you think, share it. And if you're ready to question more, subscribe for weekly insights into philosophy, life, and meaning. Because as Socrates might ask you, what else is worth pursuing if not wisdom?